Hey guys, episode 1, Age Gap Podcast. I'm here with your boy, Britt Bound. There he is.
Hey.
Today we're going to be talking a little bit about making money, what the money moves are. Episode 1, let's get into it. Dad, when you were younger, did you do anything, like a little side hustle? Did you have any side hustles, Dad?
Side hustles? Yeah, I don't think you could be growing up in America without thinking about side hustles, whether it's a paper route or cutting a guy's lawn or, something like that. Of course, today it's all about sort of making money on the internet.
Yeah, that's very true.
So whether it's going to garage sales and trying to buy stuff to resell on one of the sites or that kind of thing, that's what's kind of popular today. In my day, it was a lot more manual. So, I mean, you manual labor. The whole thing was manual. People paid in cash. Everything was quite different, and yet it's all about hard work. It's all about wanting to do it, and maybe having the a strong need to do it. Back then, the needs were pretty small. Can I earn $3.99 so I can buy the latest Beatles album? Yeah, album. Or that kind of thing. It was all quite attainable. Nobody's saving for the big stuff like a house, So it was very different. But side hustles, sure, yeah.
Did you have a paper route, or was that kind of something like that the old folks say that was more common, or did people actually really have?
People actually did. Now, I had a buddy who had an afternoon route. In the town I grew up in, there was an afternoon paper in addition to the morning. And so I would help him with his afternoon route because, of course, we're busy in the morning and during the day being in school, having on our bicycles and all that. But a lot of times he would ask me to either throw it or help him throw it, particularly on a Sunday when the paper was big. And this was on a bicycle. This was really traditional sort of Norman Rockwell kind of stuff. Did anybody make any money? Not really.
More for fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And it was one way to get to know the neighbors. But I was sort of a lousy paper boy, really. I wasn't that great. So
I could have thrown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now it's more online for sure. Where we live, it's so small. Like, there's no big garage sales that you can go to make money. I was trying to resell sneakers recently, and there's no outlet stores to go to that I can get drops for. So it's kind of online, and if you're not near a lot of things that are big, it's kind of hard.
No, definitely.
But a lot of people try and crypto trade. Do you know anything about that? Are you a crypto trader? Do you?
I know something.
Stocks?
Well, I know about stocks a little, enough to get in trouble and to have made very little money. But I do know what I read about crypto. I'm still not a firm believer because I don't have enough knowledge. I get that a lot of people have gotten wealthy on it. I get that. And I also get that I know a lot of people who own some currency. But I guess since it's such an intangible, and I'm such a dinosaur in terms of the way I look at value, that if it's not tangible, I am suspicious.
Tangible as in in hands or a business or something?
Sure. Something you can actually hold up to somebody else and redeem it or spend it or whatever. This whole digital technology, which of course I participate in with the phones and all the rest of it, I embraced some of it early, but there's still some of it as it continues to morph I'm a little reluctant to get on board with. And crypto's one of them because I could see that it's a little bit just smoke and mirrors. And as long as we all agree it has value and how it has value, it has value. But I also know enough to know that if somebody in Asia who owns a whole bunch of it decides he's not going to do it, it could plunge. And so I don't really want to be part of something where everything I work hard for could disappear or vanish quickly. But yet I realize this is a little bit of an antique idea. And so I know what it is, and I understand that you're interested in it. And so I say go for it. You know? But I'm definitely not knowledgeable enough to advise anyone on it. You know, you start talking about old bicycles or lamps and things, I'm your guy. But crypto, gee, I don't know, man. I really don't know about that.
It really is our new generation. Like this generation, that is, I feel like, the throwing of the paper. That is what our generation is going to have and going to remember, I think, because crypto is something that's very hard for anybody older than the age of probably 45 to first of all understand, and then second get involved. Yeah, they might understand a little bit, but are they going to get involved and go buy it? No, they're not. Not saying that there ain't some dinosaurs that are buying it, but a lot of them don't understand it. They don't believe in it. But it's one of the ways that people are making money right now.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. Not at all. And, you know, what I perceive as the driver for people making money is, of course, greed. But a lot of people who are making a lot of money on crypto, in my humble opinion, they don't know anything about it. It's just they have a lot of money. They don't want to be Johnny-come-lately on the investment, so they just buy into it. And so they have $1 zillion. They need to invest. So it's like, sure. It'd be like if someone said to me, here's a stock, and you go, I've never heard of that company. You go, it doesn't matter. The stock's only X, and it's $30. Why don't you go buy 10 shares? It's like, who cares? So I think a lot of people got into it because it was like, I'm just going to buy some. I got a lot of money. But people who only have a little money, whatever little even means anymore, people who only have a little money, I think they're still nervous, young or old, to lose it. Obviously, the older you get, the more careful you are about the losing it part.
You think so?
Well, because you're about to croak. I mean, you can't just earn it all back all the time.
Maybe because if you think that you're going to die soon, though, you might spend more. You might be willing to. Mm-hmm. But two sides of the coin, yeah.
Yeah. So I encourage you to explore it and push it and do it. But I would just use some restraint, like I would with any investment. You know, buy a house, but you don't necessarily need to buy 3 houses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can, that's fine. But, you know, just be careful. That's all you can do. I mean, but I know that usually falls on deaf ears, that kind of advice. But you have to learn. If you're like me, you're going to learn only with pain. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll have to lose a bunch of money to learn about it.
I think the way to experiment in the stock market, crypto, anything, is to just do it a little bit. You know, either set up a fake portfolio, like a clown portfolio where you're not actually trading real money, but like there's websites that you can go to where you're trading money, but it's not actually real money. Like it's just fake money.
Okay.
And it still works off the stock market. So if you lose money, you lose. If it gains, you gain. But what I've been doing recently is just putting like $20 in or $10 into crypto and then seeing the percentage that it goes up.
Sure.
So like I bought Ethereum when it was down at like $3,000, and then I sold it for like, when it was at like 38 or something, 3,800, and I made like $3. Yeah, but like if I invested like $2,000, I would have made like $60 or like,
right.
Math, or
right.
If I invested $10,000 or maybe even just $500, I would have made like however much. But that percentage is what you have to look at,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always trying to trade with something that I can lose, right?
Savings. Brilliant.
Because I don't want to go out and lose $500 because I don't know what I'm doing. I'd rather lose 20.
Sure. No, hey, this is the old saw about going to Vegas. Take what you can afford to lose, and then you don't cry about it too much because you're gonna lose it. It's just will you lose it this trip or next trip or whatever. But it's good advice. Take the amount that you're all right. If it disappears on you, you're still okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of people aren't able to really do that. I mean, they say they'll do it, but if they go broke in the first hour,
they'll buy more.
Well, they're there for the whole goddamn weekend.
What are they going to do?
Yeah, so they go to the ATM machine, take out another $1,000 or whatever, and
$20,000,
whatever. And I mean, it's good in theory. It's a little bit hard in practice. But this is where patience is a real virtue.
And experience and just getting into it.
Yeah. And patience is not something I've ever had in depth. You have more at your age than I've ever had. Some people are born with it. Yeah, I get impatient. Now, your example of the crypto thing, you're up 10% and you instantly sell it.
Or you could just hold for the moon. Like you could just.
Well, I'm not saying hold it indefinitely, but I think you also need
greedy.
to, unless you're some day trader bloke, I think you need to have a little longer horizon line, because it'd be like if you bought a house and you sold it in 3 months. You go, I made some money. Yeah, but you should hold things, I think, a little longer. But I realize with crypto, since it goes up and down every second,
Yeah, it's a strategy.
it's different.
Then there's a lot of strategies. That holding one is a strategy that more of your generation would like, because it's more finite. I feel like you have more of a chance. You're investing in something that's like a stock that
Sure.
will go up. But with crypto, you can still hold crypto 100%. But usually, more people trade crypto weekly basis, not holding for years. But that is happening. Like look at Bitcoin, the guy who bought it in whenever it came out, 2014, 2013, and he held it. Oh my God.
Sure.
A lot of those guys are so crazy though that it went up to 30 grand, 40 grand or whatever, and then they didn't sell because like it's going to go up more. But if that was me, if I bought Bitcoin when it was like a fraction of a cent,
Sure.
by like 1,000, I would literally sell probably. I would have probably sold when it hit like a cent, and I probably wouldn't have sold it all, but I would have sold like a majority of it just so I could get my money back, and then just let it ride out. I've already made my profit,
Well, you're very wise. That would be a great play.
and then just sell it, and then even if I had like 50 Bitcoin and I sold it out of my 1,000 that I already sold, and then it went up to 30 grand, and then I sold that. Holy shit! I'm a millionaire.
Sure.
I'm a millionaire. I'd literally.
Yeah. No, I can see that this is a huge generational gap.
It's very fun to talk about and do too.
Sure. And I have no knowledge of how to play this. So you would be the expert, and I definitely am the novice. But I have experience holding something too long.
Yeah.
And then it went down. And I've had that experience with things, with real estate, I have cars, all kinds of things. It's like, why didn't you sell that back then? It's like, I thought it would go higher.
Yeah.
And, that's the way it is though. But, so I don't, my experience doesn't help me with this crypto thing. So I'm going to leave it to you. Hey, let me know how you do.
I think buying and holding that strategy with crypto, I think that'll work. Not telling anybody to go out and do that, but if you're interested in it, buy a little bit.
Yeah.
But that buying and holding strategy would work. It might not work in the next week. It might be down to 3, 4 grand Bitcoin, let's say. But if you wait 2 years, you might be up.
Yeah.
And if you're not, there's definitely going to be points where if you buy it right, you will be up, and you will be down, and you will be up eventually, unless it just crashes and whatever. But I don't think it will. I don't know if it's going to. I think it becomes too speculative to like say, oh, it's going to be the world's currency. Will it do that? I don't know. Do I think it's possible though? Yeah, I think it's possible. But I don't know. It's just like technology and the cell phone coming out. It's like you don't think about it, but when it happens, you're like, oh, of course it would happen.
Well, again, this is where the difference in our age is worth mentioning, is that I've seen technology go so fast and also plateau sometimes. People don't talk about that. But people say, in fact, just last year I read somebody, on, I don't know what Slate magazine or somebody was talking about, that what you think is like the cutting edge today, iPhone 12 or 19 or whatever the hell it is, it's going to be a dial phone. It's going to be a rotary dial phone. You're going to look back on it and go, wow, that's incredible. You guys got by with that. But I also am not a total believer in that. That sounds great, But it may be this is as good as we get almost. I'm not saying it would improve. But the idea that we don't have to have any device and we just simply talk into our clothes, or we don't even talk into anything. We just
Brain chip? Oh my gosh.
I don't know where it's going. No one knows. I don't know where it's going, but I just mean I think sometimes technology can come to a point where it must descend to some level. I don't mean all technologies, but this idea that no, it's trajectory upwards on everything. I don't believe that. First of all, I mean what's it been 50 years since we landed on the moon, and we ain't got nothing on the moon. So I thought by now. Flying cars, Jetson type aircraft, houses, all kinds of bases on Mars, and but it's primitive in that regard. But other things have obviously gone crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen, and but I do think technology can kind of peter out in a certain direction, and maybe with phones we're getting to that point.
I think that there's some truth in that, but I also think that I think it just takes a lot more time for us to progress than we'd like. For that Jetsons example, I bet when you're growing up, you thought, oh my gosh, in 2010, we're going to have flying skateboards, moving sidewalks, everything, etc. But if we do it in 150 years from now, will we have that? I think for sure. We'll have some cool thing. Like a skateboard or a whatever. It doesn't matter. But I think humans, we want to see it in our lifetime. And when it exceeds our lifetime, we don't want to think about that. We're like, yeah, it's just never going to happen. But it might.
It might.
In my kid's generation, in 100 years from now, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Not 5.
Sure.
But it's an interesting conversation to have because it's like, what is going to be popular, what is not going to be popular, what's going to happen. And I think that we're going to switch from phones. I think the brain chip, that's too crazy of an idea. Not saying people aren't going to get it. I just think it's pretty crazy. But like eyeglass stuff, like Google Glass that like bombed and failed, that I think is going to come back. Or something like that. Contacts or something.
Sure.
That's crazy to think about that you have a contact with like technology into it. But give it 75 years, give it 80 years.
Well,
I see it happening.
No, I'm sure you're right. But here's the pathetic thing about that. Maybe that's not the right adjective, but the difference when you live long enough is there's a time when you think this new technology, some kind of something you would see on Star Trek or something, that it would help mankind. It's natural. It's optimistic. It's like, yeah, if we had that, boy. But I've also think that you're still just sort of a crummy human being.
What do you mean?
With better technology. I mean, you're still flawed. I mean, all the whole science fiction genre that I grew up with. There are people in the future wearing really cool gear with all kinds of weaponry and vehicles that are still screwed up.
Yeah.
They still got dating problems. They still let somebody down. There's still lots of criminals.
Yeah.
They still have this conscience problem. So the technology doesn't solve the human experience. That's the thing that's kind of, I use the word pathetic, but not really.
So it has a sense of beauty in it, I think.
Well, good. I'd hold on to that idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. But I just mean the technology will not save us. Period. Oh, it might clean up some air and some water, but it won't save us.
It won't make us perfect.
No, it'll make certain things more convenient.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, really, I get glum about it, but yeah, we can we can clean our houses better than we used to in 1930, but we still got to clean our houses.
We still got to have motivation to clean our houses. We still got to provide for kids. It's not like,
Yeah. So, as technology gets better and better, it's like what I was talking about. Well, I've talked about it with others, and I talked about it with your older brother several times, was this connectivity, which we've fought so hard to have, just like this internet thing, we're less connected. Oh, I mean, we're connected, but we're more isolated. That's the way I put it. So it wasn't our intention to devise all this stuff to be more isolated. It was to stay in touch, have fun, share, do stuff. And we do get some of that. We do have some of that. But it's also put people in little cubby holes that they never come out of. They spend all their days, as you know, just isolated. It's like, I'm connected. I have 7 zillion friends. When was the last time you ever saw one of them? I have no idea, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So technology, I think, is fun and everybody kind of digs it, but it's not the solution. I'm more humanistic about stuff, but it also comes with my age.
Yes.
Let's just say I'm semi-ancient. Yeah.
Yeah, we could go into talking about the internet and how it was when you were young. Like I grew up with the internet. Like, the internet was never not a part of my life.
Right.
Like, I always had access to stuff. I mean, the games were different, but I always had a screen to look at.
Sure.
But compared to you did not have that, I was babysitting some kid with Espen, my friend. 2 kids, actually. And they were outside and they were playing with, like, a fort and, like, a Nerf ball. And we were messing with the dog. We were just having fun, playing fetch. And, like, when I was a kid, I still had so much of that. But the amount of time that they had enjoyment with it was so much less than I felt I did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they probably played outside for, like, 2 hours, hour 30 minutes.
Huh.
And then they just got really bored with it.
Sure.
I don't want to go outside, which is normal. But I felt like I was outside a lot as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were. You were outside quite a lot.
And I'm thankful for that, because they want to go play their iPad, go watch movies. And not saying I didn't want to do that. Of course I did. But I feel like in general, I was outside a lot more 10 years ago than these kids are right now.
Mm-hmm.
And compared to you, oh my gosh, I was like not outside enough compared to you.
We didn't really even conceive of inside outside. We just simply, if we were inside, we'd be put to work.
Like in the kitchen or something?
Yeah, just chores.
Yeah.
And if you're gone, you can kind of do what you want to do. So we were just gone. It's like, hey, be home by dark. Okay. No, there's no phones. Nobody says, hey, I'm going to so-and-so's house. I mean, you might have, but then you didn't stay at that somebody's house, so it didn't really matter. But no phones, no connectivity. The kid's gone. Mm-hmm. It's 11 o'clock in the day. You don't see the kid till 6 o'clock. You know he's going to come home because he's going to be hungry. But outside was just our life, And it wasn't bliss. It wasn't just awesome.
No.
You're not throwing the Frisbee with the dog all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're kicking around in 100-degree Texas weather where I grew up, and you're like, man, I wish I was inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I know what you're saying about the screen thing. Yeah, I didn't grow up with a ton of screens. My screens were the television at night. That's it, the television at night, or perhaps Saturday morning for a little bit. One television per household type of thing.
Colored or not colored?
It was black and white.
When did it become colored?
Like 66 or 5 or 7, somewhere right in there.
So
I think 67.
So you were like 10.
No, I would have been...
younger than that.
No, older than that.
Oh,
I would have been a teenager.
Wow.
But I do remember the first color television I ever saw. We went over to my parents' friend's house for dinner, and they had one. It was the first one I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Were you astonished? What were you?
I was astonished.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, of course, the only television show that I can remember that was in color was Walt Disney's whatever.
World of Color?
Yes.
Yes.
And so you would go from that channel to more of the Lucille Ball type black and white, but it was pretty...
what is Lucille Ball?
I Love Lucy.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I only hold that up as an example of just traditional black and white sitcom stuff. But anyway, No, screens. Yeah, no, I couldn't have handled all this screen stuff that you guys are dealing with. I just could. I wouldn't have dug it, I don't think.
You would have if you grew up surrounded by it. Just like how any kid now would be able to handle growing up when you were a kid. It's just different. Like just your environment is just different.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I know. There's no difference. That's an interesting kind of thing to think about as well, because nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
You know, like how was I like nature? We're both biologically the same. A kid 100 years ago and a kid now, but the way that they're brought up changes who they are, changes their outlook on life, changes if they can handle screens or not in this case. But did you have a dial-up phone, like a ringer?
Yeah. Yeah, a rotary dial phone it's called. Yeah.
Not dial-up. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, yes. And then push buttons were a big deal. It's basically the same phone, but instead of rotating a wheel, you pushed a button. That was a huge advance. Huge.
Huge.
Yeah, and then the other thing that was really substantial was you could upgrade these phones in a very different way. You could buy these super long coil cords.
So you could just talk throughout the entire house.
You just drag this cord around everywhere. It was so incredible, Anyway,
Incredible.
but no, I don't know. It all seems so primitive now, I suppose. But I liked it, and that's one thing I do miss about having, experiencing the world today, and having you in the house is I never know when you're on the phone. Phone never rings. It's never just a second. I'll get him. Hang on a minute. There's none of that. There's no phone ringing. There's no nothing.
Do you miss that or no?
Yeah, because it was a connection to what your child was experiencing, or your wife was experiencing, or whoever else is in the house is experiencing. So, oh, your mother's on the phone. Okay. Oh, be sure to say, okay. It's like people have conversations and you go, what are you doing? I've been on the phone. Oh, really? Yeah. And so it's, there is, again, some of that isolation, again, we take these little communication moments and they're very private. It used to be very out in the open. I'm not saying I miss all that. I'm just saying it's a difference.
That's an insight I have never heard before. And you're right. Like how if I had to grab my phone from my mom or do whatever, like you said, I'd know what she was doing. I'd be involved with it. I'd know like her social life. But now I just text my friends.
Sure.
And you don't know about it.
No.
Espen's coming over. Blah, blah, blah is coming over. And then that's it. That's all you hear. And then they come over. But it's not, he's on the phone. How long have you guys been talking? What you guys talking about? Because you don't know when I'm talking to my friends.
Exactly. But this is it's very common thinking back about people saying to one another, gee, I tried to reach you last night, or I tried to reach you all this weekend. I never could get through on your phone, man. Oh, that's because I got a daughter or teenager. They were on the phone all the goddamn time. One phone.
Yeah.
That's before it even made a signal like there's an incoming line. Now, you hear a little click.
Yeah.
Well, someone's calling in. But back then, no click. It's like, and so if you had a daughter or son hanging on the phone all the time, there ain't nobody else going to call in.
Because they couldn't.
They couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't because it wouldn't go through.
No, that was very common. And sometimes people would say, call me after 10 p.m. or call me before such and such, because they know the kid's not home or the kid's asleep or something, and I have a chance of getting the call. It sounds crazy to even say that nowadays, but, a limited communication. But, hey.
Yeah. No, now it's kind of a different problem, because now if there's somebody who calls me who I might not want to talk to,
You have some of those too, huh?
Yeah. Human problem. It's
Yeah.
never going to go away.
Yeah.
But now I can't really ignore them because I know that I just get the message. I can't be like, hey, don't see that. Sorry. My daughter was on the phone, or my mom was on the phone.
Hey.
Now I have to kind of just respond.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing, but it's a new problem that was created.
It is a new problem.
But it's so minuscule. What am I to say? First world problem of I have to not respond to somebody.
No. You're right. And so when I text, which I have to be honest with you, the first time I ever texted was like 12 years ago, I never texted. I was at work one day and somebody said, "Why don't you text me?" It's like I had to say, "Well, show me how," because but anyway, but what I was going to say is now when you text, it says delivered. You're exactly right. You know the person got your text. And so if they don't respond to you, you're kind of miffed. Like, I know they got it. You're right. There's no safety in this. And it doesn't really work well to say, I never got that.
No, because they know you're bullshitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now the even worse part about it is it says read 10:45.
Ooh.
And it's
bad.
like, oh no.
Real bad.
That's real bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you do about that?
It depends on the person, really. It's like,
Do you just delete them from the contacts or something?
no, I don't delete it for the con. No, if I know them, no, you just have to respond. But the second, if you open something or you read something like a text, then you really just have to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Wow.
Or you can just not open it and wait till later.
Sure.
But I usually just wait a little bit, open it, and respond.
Sure. One thing that hasn't changed with the old style phones and the way it is today is there's still that guilt thing about why didn't you call,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I got to pick up this 100-pound telephone and call them. Oh my God, I've got to call them. It's like, how hard is it to make a phone call? See, back then it's the same way. It might have been a rotary dial phone. It's the same thing. You still got to stop and call them.
Yeah.
And that hasn't changed. Technology's changed, but that ain't changed. So.
It's just, and then when you think about back to the internet,
Oh yeah.
right? Now you can talk. I wanted to ask you, what about chat rooms? Like, now we have this program called Discord, which all of gamers, I guess you could say, or anybody who's on the internet on a computer, it's like the main one people use to talk. They can voice chat, they can type, they can video chat. Was it like, were chat rooms popular, and then also were they like kind of scary, like, or was it just normal? And or did you not use them?
I never used them because when the internet came out as a tool, I was already working a day job, and it was only like a tool. Like maybe that's where you contacted your vendor or sent in an order. So I missed that whole the internet as a communication device and chat rooms. Mm-hmm. I can honestly say I've never really experienced a chat room, with the exception of having stumbled in one or two when I tried to buy some part for a guitar or something. I had to go into some thread, whatever the hell that means, and try to communicate with somebody about something. It's like, hey, you're in a chat room, am I? And then all of a sudden somebody might type in and say, hey, who are you? And what was my response to that? I didn't like it. I had the feeling it was predatory. I had the feeling it was some kind of danger zone.
That's yeah.
And it's always some older white guy. Let me go ahead and just put this out there. It's always some older white guy looking for some sexual contact. When you read these stories
in a guitar chat room, or
no, not that one.
Okay, not
general
that one.
General chat rooms.
Yeah.
My experience. That's not the right word. My impression from what I've read is it's a lot of these sharks circling everywhere, and if somebody was to stumble into a chat room, maybe they just simply it's a travel site, they want to talk about Singapore. It doesn't matter what the site is. They go there, and sure enough, there's somebody hitting on them like, hey,
that is the scary part of,
I don't know you, but my name is. It's like, get the fuck. I'll talk about Singapore here, So I don't know. I don't like chat rooms from what little I know of them, but, they ain't going to miss me because I ain't never been there.
That's good.
Yeah. So.
All right. We've been talking for a little bit now. Yeah. Should be done?
Okay, good.
Okay. This is it. This is episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. Talked about the internet, talking about weird predators online. That part was funny. Hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to tune in next week. Sometime next week. Sometimes maybe in a few days. For episode 2. We'll see what that entails, but here we go. That was it, Dad. How was it?
Good.
It's good. All right. Later, guys.